We are the New York Knicks. I'm back. Back in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, part of the Lineups Podcast Network. You can check the rest of their network out on lineups.com. We are also part of the Big Heads Media Network. You can check that out at bigheadsmedia.com. We're on Dash Radio. And if you go to the New York Knicks podcast.com/ticket club, you can see our sponsor, Ticket Club. You can get $20 off an annual membership using the code NYKP. This is episode 486, which is also, coincidentally, the amount of days it's been since the Knicks have won a game.
Yes. Also, the amount of years it's been since Steve Mills has done anything correctly as the Knicks in the Knicks front office.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to start the show off with a "Where are they now?"
Okay, where are they now? Are always fun.
Sure. Where are they now? The Brooklyn Nets embarrassing the Knicks by showing how you develop a team. I love trashing them. Currently, they're two-star signings. One of them, Kevin Durant, has not set foot in the court and will not set a foot in the court all year. Kyrie Irving was supposed to be a big contributor, supposed to really help them, has been absent the last 12 games. And also, they lost D'Angelo Russell, so they should be in the goddamn dumpster, right?
Right.
They are 9-3 since Kyrie Irving went down. All they keep doing is developing players. They had no draft picks to work with. They traded all their draft picks to the Celtics, and they just work with what they had. And now they have a pretty decent team. And when the star players go down, it doesn't matter.
Meanwhile, Elfrid Payton goes down, and the Knicks crumble.
Look at the Nets roster. They got Spencer Dinwiddie. He was a second-round pick out of nowhere. I mean, and Jared Allen, he's a late-round pick. Tayshaun or whatever Prince from Atlanta.
Torian.
Torian, that's the Prince I'm looking for. It wasn't like they had to give up a lot to get him. They picked up Iman Shumpert, who's playing well for them. David Nwamba's playing well for them.
Joe Harris.
No one wanted Joe Harris. The Nets were like, hey, shoot a lot of threes. Oh, you're talented at that. They have been running circles around the Knicks.
So
and I'm gonna add in. They brought over Sean Marks from the San Antonio Spurs, and he built them into a real organization. They may not be winning a title anytime soon, but they actually look like a real team. So I'm past the whole that if the Knicks hire Becky Hammonds, that would be a disaster. Hire Becky Hammonds. Hire the parking attendant from the San Antonio Spurs parking lot. I don't care. Get someone from the Spurs. Get someone from a competent organization to run our team.
So the Knicks played three games this week. They lost to the Bucks by 44. They lost to the Nuggets by 37.
And neither game was that close.
Has any team in NBA history lost back-to-backs by a total of more than 81 points?
The Nuggets make the Knicks look like the Washington Wizards. Not the Wizards, sorry. Who the Harlem Globetrotters play? The Washington Generals. And yet Brooklyn played them without any of their star players, and Brooklyn beat the Nuggets.
So after the Denver game, well, they had a practice first, and then after practice on Friday, the Knicks fired David Fizdale.
I want to point out, one of the things I hobbies like doing watching games, I don't know if you do this, but I watch a guy hit a three, and then I hit that little rewind button where you can rewind 15 seconds, and I try to figure out how the guy got open. And most of the time, it's just that the Knicks didn't give a crap about covering the player. Everyone was lost, didn't know where their man was. Someone just leaves their man, and then the guy hits a three. All they do is, this lineup of their phase was cheat to the middle, the Knicks have been doing this forever, but they cheat to the center, try to guard the lane, and watch the league destroy us with three-pointers.
It's like we're not going to let up any dunks, but because of that, we're letting up every three-pointer ever.
I mean, can we ever just go with the conventional wisdom? For years, we've been like, Shooting threes don't matter. We'll go against the conventional wisdom. Guarding the three-point line doesn't matter. We'll go against the conventional wisdom. Long twos, they're good. Let's go for long twos, and eventually they'll be back in fashion.
I don't know. The Knicks and back in fashion is. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon.
I don't know. It's just amazing how I just want a coach that goes, and it's just organization that's like, hey, we're going to actually develop players. We're going to try to do what makes sense with I don't know. I hate this team, but anyway, David Fizdale's fired. He's without a job. He's making a lot of money now. They're not to coach the Knicks. It's the best job in the world.
So if you're keeping track, the Knicks are now paying Phil Jackson.
Is that you?
Yes.
What is that, Jay?
Don't worry. Do you have to derail the show for one little sound? We could have just moved
on. Is that noise every time the Knicks do something stupid that we don't know about, that thing goes off?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know what I was saying anymore. Oh, yeah. So the Knicks are, if you're keeping track, are paying Phil Jackson, Jeff Hornacek, and David Fizdale to stay home.
Are they all still being paid?
Yes, they're all still being paid.
How is that possible? I mean, I know how it's possible.
Sign 5-year contracts, fire them after 2.
First, do you care that the Knicks that they fired Fizdale after practice? Is that I know people were made a stink about I can't believe they let him to coach a practice, then they fired him.
It just seems weird. I'm not super mad about it, but it's also why would you do that?
I mean, we're lucky that it wasn't he wasn't fired via tweet at 3 a.m. There's so many worse ways than Knicks. We're lucky that James Dolan didn't paint the words "you're fired" on his ass and pull down his pants at halftime of the next game, and that's how Fizdale was fired.
It's just the equivalent of instead of firing you first thing in the morning, they make you work all day and then fire you at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, yes, but this is probably worse because you're you don't think the guy's doing a good job coaching, and you're instill more of your bad coaching in our players. Just get that bad coaching in before we fire you.
Right. Yeah, so the Knicks now have Mike Miller, who was G League Coach of the Year last year, 2 years ago, and G League champion last year.
I mean, he actually has I don't know if he'll be a good coach or not, but he actually has an actual track, not a track. He actually has actual experience.
Well, his first game with the Knicks, instead of losing by 40, they lost by 1, so it's less losing.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has been an assistant coach or a coach for the last 25 years, almost 30 years. He's been working as a coach or an assistant coach. So that's a long track record of actually being around. I mean, different teams and really studying. It's not like they're Hornacek, you coach for a week. Derek Fisher, here's your first time ever coaching. Woodson, you coached for a day and a half in Memphis. We got a guy who actually has been a head coach or an assistant coach for a long time. It's something. I don't know if he'll actually be a good Knicks coach, but at least he has some experience to bring to the job.
So Elfrid Payton had a really good game, and Ntilikina only played 19 minutes. How do you feel about that?
I'm fine. I don't care. Elfrid Payton was playing well.
Yeah.
Maybe Ntilikina could see Elfrid Payton playing point guard and go, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to actually play point guard.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. Some people are like, oh, my God, he's taking away Frank's minutes. And
no, he was actually running the offense. And one of the knocks against, as much as you like Ntilikina's defense, and his shooting isn't better, but to be an actual point guard, he's got to run the offense. Payton is the only one out there that actually tries to run the offense. Dennis Smith does it in not a very good way. I mean, he does a pretty poor job of it. Payton looks worlds better at actually running the offense than the other guys do.
Yeah, agreed. And the Knicks went on a pretty big run at the end of the game when he was there.
Okay, so let's talk a little more about of course Randall missed the free throw. How much do you care?
I don't care. I mean, they're 4-19, worst record in the entire NBA.
Yeah,
and the schedule's not getting any easier.
So one of the things I was thinking about was that game was at the Garden. Knicks fans were going crazy. They're always cheering for this team. They're always rooting really hard. And so a team that lost its 19th game of the season in 23 games still has awesome fans. Is that a problem?
It's a problem if you want Dolan to sell the team.
Yes, it's a problem if you want Dolan to sell the team or do anything about this. Stop going to the games. Stop cheering for the team. It's the only way we're going to get real change. It's bad to actually root for the team now. To be at the Garden, rooting for the team, buying the merchandise, which if I go to a game, I'm going to cheer. I'm going to buy my son a Knicks jersey because I'm a moron. but we need to stop doing this.
Yeah, the problem is there's so much just rich people in New York and tourist traffic that they're going to sell at every game no matter what. So there's really no incentive.
I mean, the Nets win games. No one gives a crap about their games. If the Knicks stop winning games, if the Knicks people stop going to the game, they stop cheering. If the Garden started looking lifeless, then Dolan would at least he'd be like, I really need to do something about this. We're gonna really change our ways. We're hitting rock bottom. Instead, I could lose 82 games and my franchise will still be worth $2 billion.
Probably 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5, whatever it's actually worth right now. It's frustrating. So let's just revisit this. Let's talk a little more about Fizz. So some people, some things that people have said. Well, one thing right away I heard someone say on Twitter, or saw someone say on Twitter was, let's not forget this is a person. He lost his job, and let's not be lost in this whole like someone had lost a job. This is not something to cheer about. Someone losing their job.
I feel really bad because he's only going to get $10 million for staying at home.
Yeah, I hate when people say those things when the athletes. It's not like he got injured. He signed up for a job, wasn't good at it, and still gets paid not to do the job. It's the greatest deal ever.
Yeah, if I get fired for not doing a good job at my job, the paychecks stop.
Yeah, the paycheck we get is from unemployment. He's in a rarefied position. Don't act like it's some like big. It'd be like going, the one thing we have to really like this election. Forget about Trump winning. Hillary didn't get a job, and that's sad.
I mean, even if he didn't get paid for the rest of his contract, he still made $7 million while coach of the Knicks. That's more money than most of us will ever see in our entire lives.
Those kind of things just piss me off when people like go like, "Hey, we don't like when someone loses the job." Like, you're come on, this is not a regular job.
Right. It's entertainment.
Yeah, like we don't cry every time like someone doesn't get a movie role.
Right. If somebody was, say the next James Bond takes over and he's not good, they're going to get rid of him and replace him with another James Bond, and people are going to be happy about that. It's fine.
If they don't make another Saw movie, we're not going to like have a moment of silence for the cast that then get to make the next Saw movie.
No, but I would like another Saw movie.
Okay, they're probably they're probably more entertaining than watching the Knicks.
Yes.
Being
in a real life Saw movie is probably more entertaining than watching the Knicks.
Probably. The another thing people said was it's not fair because he had a terrible team. So it's people. Well, they say the real blame here is Dolan, then Mills and Perry, and then the team just didn't play well. It's unfair to blame Fizz for this team.
Yes and no. I mean, it's everybody's fault, top to bottom. It's Dolan's fault for having Mills. It's Mills' fault for being terrible. But also Fizdale did a bad job.
Yeah. I mean, they put the we suck balls in team. Yeah, you could have a bad owner, you could have bad management who organize this team or put together this team, and you could have bad players, and Fizz could still be a bad coach.
Yes.
What do you think about the fact that a number of coaches, Popovich, Steve Kerr, I forget who else, spoke up and said they felt really bad for Fizz, and it's unfair that a guy that's such a good coach would lose his job, and he got screwed, basically, is what they said.
Yeah, fine. I don't care. Other teams can talk as much trash as they want about the Knicks because they've earned it.
So I was listening to the radio, and they made a good point. They were about this. They were like, "Listen," I think it was on ESPN radio. They were saying, like, "Listen, it's not like these coaches. Popovich wasn't watching every Knick game. He just liked Fizz. They defend their own. They defend coaches because they are coaches. None of these guys were actually watching every game the Knicks played. No one was actually looking and saying, like, is Fizz an actual good coach? They just assume he's a good coach. And they always just assume it's the Knicks' fault."
Probably that, too.
Yeah. I think he just was doing, like, do you think Fizz was doing a bad job? Like, why? Let's make the case. Why did he deserve to get fired?
It didn't seem like they had much of a plan on offense or defense. Well, the plan on defense seemed to be switch everything, which made it very easy to exploit.
They also had the plan on defense not to guard the three-point line.
The lineups and rotations seemed to make almost no sense.
What didn't you like, Jay? You don't think we should go as big as possible? You didn't like Knox at the 2?
Knox at the 2 was like that was probably like the peak ridiculousness.
I also just thought every time you see Randall, Morris, and Portis out there together, you're like, what's going on? All three of the guys kind of play the same position.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Randall Morris and what Robbins? No, Gibson started under
At least
Mike
they
Miller.
worked a little better together.
Yeah.
I mean, also you see like the team is horrendous. These lineups aren't working. Why not try going a little smaller? Like, why don't you try Randall at the 5 and Morris at the 4? See how that works out a little bit.
Or I don't know, just play Dodson and Peyton more.
Yeah, I guess the idea. Well, Peyton just came back, but I guess the idea being that like all these things just kept going. Like, we're losing. Let's try the same thing over and over again. We're losing more. Let's not adjust at all.
Right.
Why else? What was he brought here for?
Development.
Is that happening?
Only for maybe Frank. Everybody else on the entire roster seems to have gotten worse from last season, including the vets.
Yeah. The development just seems like completely. If you look at the Nets are really developing players. Knicks are developing no one.
Yeah.
Why else? What else? Anything else? Anything else you want to make a case for him?
No, I think we made our case. I
kind of thought of Fizz as being this guy who might be a very good assistant coach. Always is great with like motivational speeches and like the whole thing of like give more effort. Hey, coach, could you just drop some plays for us? We need to give more effort. Yeah, coach. We just have no idea what to do on the actual court. Just give more effort, coach. Just tell us what to do. Give more effort. Like he's one of those guys that like that whole thing about how he kept having like great Knicks and great players give like speeches to the players. I always thought that was so worthless when you were like, those are nice things to do every once in a while, but how about you just teach the guys how to play the game?
I think he was also partly brought in to recruit, and the Knicks didn't get any of the guys they wanted with him recruiting.
No, they did not get whoever they wanted. Like I don't blame that on him though. Like, can you really bring a coach to recruit?
No, I mean that is where you start putting the blame back on Mills and Perry.
I mean, I think Mills and Perry are awful. I mean, they should go. They should 100% go, but that's like a different story. I feel like you could find. I think everyone needs to go.
Yeah, everybody needs to.
I just thought everything you asked for. His basic job is to develop. He wasn't doing it. It's to install some kind of culture / scheme, like offensive defensive scheme that's not really happening. To win games, that's not really happening. Nothing's getting better.
So, do you think it's possible for Mills to get fired this season? And if he does, how bad does it have to get?
I don't understand why you take a coach. I mean, a team president, go, you're on your last legs. Here's a trade deadline to throw some Hail Marys and screw the franchise over.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, are you concerned at all? Like, first of all, do you think they're going to fire Mills and Perry midseason?
No, I think that's the problem. They'll probably wait till after this season because they're trying to get Masai from Toronto.
Well, you could fire them. You could easily fire Mills right now and say, Perry, you're in charge. Sure, they have assistants and just say you're a better job. Nothing's guaranteed for you, but you can run things out. Bring in a new team team president. Go, hey, you're just going to steady the ship. Basically, if you have any good ideas, great. Otherwise, like you can still be an assistant later when we hire someone to do better.
Yeah. Because my fear is that they see that Dolan's probably pretty mad and their job is probably on the line, and they might make some panic trades and just to try and save their job, and that might screw up what little the Knicks have right now.
Oh, well, I have next week. So today, what's today's date? Today is the 9th. So
Yes.
Next Sunday, if we record, it'll be the 15th. The day, the first day you're allowed to trade players signed in the offseason, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to preview a little preview from next week's show. You want to hear the preview?
Yeah.
Okay, let's cut to it. Do. Hey, Jay, I'm Mark from next week. Hey, I just want to ask you, Jay, how do you feel about the fact that Knicks traded for Kevin Love?
Sorry, I was just tying a noose to hang myself.
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, we got Kevin Love. We had to give up the 2 Dallas picks, and a first round pick, and and we gave him some 1-year expiring deals. But we got Kevin Love. Also, Kevin Love does not have a leg.
Yeah, the weird thing is they knew that before they made the trade.
Well, they looked at it and they thought the leg would regrow, and turns out their doctors are morons.
So typical
Okay.
Knicks trade.
Yeah, typical Knicks trade. Okay. I mean, you know the Knicks are going to get, that's, the Knicks are probably all in on Kevin Love.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
The Knicks are like, well, we couldn't get a big name free agent. This will make perfect sense. And the Knicks have the players to make the deal because they can say, here, take all these 1-year deals. They give you Morris. They can give you who else do they give for Kevin Love? Morris, Ellington. That alone probably is close to his contract. Morris, Ellington, and Alfred Payton.
I'm actually worried because that is the typical Knicks trade. A guy who's 5 years past his prime, still a recognizable name. That's like right up the Knicks alley.
And injury. Like Kevin Love can definitely contribute on the court. He's 31 though, high injury risk. And really, we're not building a team around a 31-year-old when the rest of the team is trash.
Yeah.
So the only trade I would do for a guy like that would be like, hey, we'll take Kevin Love if you give us some assets, like some draft picks to go along with taking the bad contract.
Yeah.
And then after that, we can cut him. I don't care.
Yeah.
We don't need Kevin Love on the roster. I mean, he's obviously a very good player, but it's not where we're looking to build. But the conventional wisdom was if you're going to build a team, get a lot of assets. Get trade your cap space for assets. The Knicks were like, no, we'll use our cap space to just be bad.
Do they not see what the Celtics and Rockets have been doing for the last 5 years? Not 10 years, maybe?
Or the Nets are in a different borough doing this much better than them.
Yeah. I'm just talking about, collecting assets. Like, the Nets kind of walked into the free agents wanting to come there. But the Celtics and the Rockets have been just collecting anybody who's halfway decent and stockpiling as many assets as they can, and then they flip it for a superstar at some point.
Yeah. And the Knicks trade players, they're like, we'll give you KP if you take Timmy Hardaway's contract also. And you're like, okay, Timmy Hardaway's going to start for us. We think he's pretty good. Yeah, he's garbage. He's never going to hit a shot for you. Actually, he's playing pretty well now. Yeah, we won that trade.
Yeah. This trade is looking worse and worse.
Yeah, it gets worse and worse. Dallas is looking pretty good, and Timmy Hardaway's playing better than KP lately.
And Smith is just, oh my God.
Smith looks like garbage.
He looks almost unplayable.
No, he's looking really bad. I mean, I watched Alfred Payton. I was like, Smith, you don't need to be on the court anymore.
If Alfred plays like that, Smith is never going to see the court.
So what are we expecting? We have a bunch of questions to do, so we'll get to a lot more stuff. But what are you expecting or what are you hoping from the new coach?
I'm hoping to have it go like a normal team, to just be like, oh, I see what their idea is for this roster. These lineups make sense. We don't have 3 power forwards and a small forward on the same lineup right now.
I mean, the thing that they signed. Everyone gave them crap because they signed 4 power forwards. Teams have backup bigs. It's not so crazy. It's just the Knicks signed 4 players who it's hard to figure out who would start over the other guy.
Well, that's the thing. Most of them were of equal talent, and not only that, the Knicks had a glaring hole at point guard, and they decided to just go all in on power forwards for some reason.
Well, I mean, if you look at their strategy, they said if they believed in Ntilikina, which is not clear they did, but you say we have Ntilikina, we have Dennis Smith, and then we bring in 1 more guy for point guard. 3 point guards is how many point guards does a team have? 3 is about right.
Yeah.
So it's more that you've mentioned before that they don't have a lot of players that outshine other players, so it's hard to draw clear lines who's starters, who's bench players, who does play, who does not play. Yeah, they also just seem like they had any plan whatsoever. Like, why did you sign Bobby Portis? Where did he fit in the equation? And then you were like, Marcus Morris, we can still get him. Let's just get him. Like he was like a Topps trading card.
Right. It just seemed like they got 4 guys who are similar in skill level and position. So, it's different. Not only does it really, from roster construction, not make a lot of sense, from a personnel standpoint, you got 4 guys who all think they should be starting. So you're just asking for problems in the locker room.
Yeah. I mean,
do you think Portis is watching Randall get 4 turnovers a game and going like, oh yeah, he should definitely be playing over me.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you bring in 1 or 2 free agents and go like, hey, Randall, you're gonna be a guy we're really gonna go to, and then you bring in, let's say you bring in Morris, but then you don't bring in Portis. You don't bring in guys that just are gonna fight each other for minutes.
Yeah,
Or
the
you
Portis
just- or you
one
just-
seemed completely ridiculous.
Or you say coming in, go, hey, you're gonna have to earn your minutes. You're not a starter coming in. You're a bench player. Everyone's a bench player on day one, and you earn your minutes. And we're gonna see what makes sense. And you may not play.
But are you really going to pay somebody $15 million to not play?
Yeah, what's the difference? You have to spend the money. The Knicks have to. There's a floor. It's not just a salary cap. It's a floor. You have to spend, I think, like $90 million. So you're like, hey, I'm gonna give you $15 million so you could fight for a job.
Seems like a great strategy.
I mean, nothing makes sense. The Knicks should basically just say like our cap space is for sale because no one's signing here anyway.
Yeah.
Nothing's well thought out in Knicks world. But yeah, Mills has to go. Do you save Perry?
No, I think I want a clean house.
Perry is part of building this awful team.
Yeah.
He's got to go too.
Yeah,
And you also want whoever's hired next to pick his own people.
exactly.
And pick his own coach also. So if the guy likes Mike Miller, he can stay, but chances are the guy gets to pick whoever he wants, not like. So anyway, what I want to, I guess Mike Miller said he wanted to have the Knicks attack the paint more, which seemed like they were doing a little bit in the last game. What do you think of the fact that the Knicks had a players only meeting right before Fizz was fired? What do you think they said in that meeting?
They said we'd lost the last 2 games by 80 points. That we can't do that.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all you say. That like this is a goddamn embarrassment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's one thing. I don't think they had expectations of being very good, but to get absolutely embarrassed. I mean, literally the laughing stock of the league for the last couple weeks.
So I think Fizz could be a decent coach with like a good team already if the players already knew how to. I think the Knicks need, and I don't know what kind of coach exactly Miller is, but I think they really need a guy who's strong fundamentals, X's and O's, who could really teach the Knicks how to the young players how to actually play the game.
It almost looked like Fizz wanted out at this last week.
I don't think he was too upset to get fired.
I mean, well, think about it. If you're like, okay, we're going to bring you on, and we got Porzingis, and we're going to get somebody really good in the draft, and you're going to coach them. Okay, cool. And like, oh wait, no, actually, we're going to trade Porzingis, give you this garbage player, but just hang on. We're going to get Kyrie and Durant. Okay, fine. I'll just hang on. And then, oh no, we can get either of those either, but we got you 5 power forwards. Have fun, bye.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the ideal NBA job, but his effort really wasn't there to like really build this team.
It wasn't, but I also think they sold him on a team that wasn't. You know what I mean?
In some ways, though, if you took this job, we thought Durant was coming here. Then I don't know. You haven't been watching the NBA. The Knicks never get their guy. They're always a joke.
The Knicks seemed so ridiculously confident about this one, though.
They really seem confident
I
about
mean,
it.
Dolan was going on interviews, being all smug and like.
The thing is, if let's say the Knicks were the Nets and they got the Durant, they'd still be playing bad because they still wouldn't have him playing. So it wouldn't have made a difference.
I wonder if somebody in Kyrie and Durant's camp said, yes, we're definitely coming to New York, and they just forgot that there's another team in New York. I mean,
exactly.
I could literally see that being the actual scenario.
I mean, it doesn't. The rumors, how strong the rumors were, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like there should be like a ESPN 30 for 30 examining the rumors to figure out what the hell happened here.
Yeah.
Because like LeBron to New York back in the when he first was a free agent, there weren't like tons of rumors. Like we were just hopeful.
Yeah, that was more of like a media made rumor.
This was like every person that knew something about the NBA was like, "Hey, I've talked to so and so. I've talked to some people that I know. My sources saying it's a done deal. It's a done deal. It's a done deal." And of course, New York was like, "Brooklyn, they must be in the Knicks because that's like close to Brooklyn." I don't know. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Brooklyn. They're gonna get an apartment in Brooklyn. Okay.
I just watched this team though. I like especially the 40-point blowout game. But I was watching this team be like, no one even tries to cover a 3-point shooter. Everyone tries to, like, there's a lot of over helping. Like a guy's going to the paint. Mitchell Robinson's there. They're like, You know what? He needs my help to stand right by him while Mitchell Robinson blocks a shot or something like that. Everyone just always try to like overhelp, which leaves guys way too open.
Yeah, meanwhile, dudes are hitting 7 and 8 threes a game who aren't even known for their 3-point shooting.
I love Mitchell Robinson. Can someone teach him how to set a screen? No one on this team knows how to set a screen.
Yeah.
Taj Gibson should teach everyone how to set a screen because guys just kind of stand there, try to leave the screen as fast as possible. They don't they're not a fundamentally sound team when they really need a guy who's huge on the fundamentals because that's the first step, I guess.
Yeah.
You want to go to questions?
Yeah, we got a lot of questions this week.
Let's do it, Jay.
Okay. Isam writes, I've been an NBA fan since playing in Bethlehem, Palestine. I was 6'2" and blocked everyone. Ever since moving to New York City 5 years ago, I've been slowly sucked into becoming a Knicks fan. In the beginning, I was just hoping the local team would be competitive because it's just cool to have a good team in town to watch from time to time. Somehow, I've become a diehard Knicks fan, read about the Knicks every morning, listen to all the podcasts, fantasize all night of what if KP plus Durant plus Kyrie plus RJ happened to help me sleep. I wish I never got this emotionally invested in a team, but I am, and it's difficult. I feel trapped in an abusive relationship, and having to come to work on Tuesday after losing 40 plus points to the Bucks is just an emotional burden I can't handle anymore. We New Yorkers deal with so much shit and stress that we deserve better. I turned off the game last night in the second quarter when Giannis checked back in minute 9. I couldn't take it anymore. I was extremely excited about this team this year, despite all the criticism. I even went to RJ's first game at MSG, courtside, second row, nice seats, and shouted, RJ, welcome to the Garden. He heard me. I was that guy. Now that I'm all vented out, I have 2 requests. First, please tell me it's going to get better. Any scenario a trade could fix this.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon. How do things get better?
I mean, they can't really get much worse.
Well, I guess the 2 paths for get better from here. First of all, you hire a competent GM or team president.
Both. Yeah.
That's first path. And he has, I mean, how long has team president and GM been separate roles? Aren't they usually the same role?
I think it depends on the team.
Okay, but anyway, so you get a competent GM, a competent team president, and a competent coach. That's like just a baseline. You need those guys who know what they're doing. Then you either get lucky in the draft, which is huge, like you draft Doncic and Dallas looks a whole lot better. So you nail the draft, or you pull the net strategy of like finding guys who are just underused elsewhere and really developing them. There are a lot of guys not in the league right now who came out of nowhere, so to speak. Like Kendrick Nunn in Miami kind of came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
That dude, who's the guy on Charlotte who's been hitting all the threes?
I blocked him out of my mind after I lost out on him in fantasy. I know who you mean though.
Yeah. It's a lot of players. You don't have to have the top pick in the draft to always get the right player.
All right, and part 2 is what should I do with my nylon
Devontae Graham. That's what I'm thinking of.
Right. What should I do with my nylon KP jersey? I love how it fits, and all my other Knicks retro jerseys just aren't that nice. The Adidas ones just don't fit nicely. Yeah, I have a KP jersey too, and I don't know what to do with it either.
Yeah. So my son's getting an RJ Barrett jersey for Hanukkah this year. Please let that jersey survive more than 4 years.
I mean, at the very least, you probably have 3 years with it. So it's better than my David Lee and my Porzingis jerseys, which lasted less than 3 months each.
They've still yet to sign a guy for a rookie contract, right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I know. We figured at least KP will make it beyond his rookie contract. Nope.
At least the best guy you drafted since, and KP's not that amazing, but like the best guy you drafted since Ewing, and he's gone.
Yeah.
He didn't make it to his 4th year. Or was that his 4th year? Or?
Yeah, it was his last year.
Okay.
P.S. I've attached a pic I took of James Dolan's ass crack from when I went to MSG for RJ's first game. I wasn't going to share it, but after last night, I thought he deserves it. We do too, so you'll probably enjoy this episode's album art.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Jorge writes, you guys ever sit back and think about how we drafted Clay Anthony early at 34 and Jokic going 41? Clay Anthony's only highlight was getting shot in the knee in a strip club in Queens. Tremendous.
I mean, there's so many players in the league that everyone misses out on players. The Knicks are just really. Steve Mills and Perry are goddamn terrible at evaluating talent.
Yeah.
It's been amazing all the players they brought in without any. No one's better. They haven't found anyone who plays better here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's crazy. It really is.
You could not be the Knicks. So what do you think with the rumor the Knicks are trying to get Masai Ujiri?
Ujiri?
What I'm never gonna pronounce his name. That's why the Knicks can't sign him. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he would be great. Although he
Is it-
made
is the
Denver
Knicks- Sorry.
he made Denver and Toronto great by
Trading with the
completely
Knicks.
swindling the Knicks. So he's gonna have to find some other idiot. But yeah,
I mean, they gave him like $50 million over 4 years. Like he kind of has to take the job, right?
I would think, yeah.
Or is he? Or he's like, I'm not. I wouldn't even do that for money.
No, he said he's interested.
He said he was interested.
Yeah, which I don't know how isn't some sort of violation, but
Okay. I mean, they really could back up the like. I mean, the money they gave Phil for not doing the job.
mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. But
You know, if he really wants to save some money, he could just have the two of us for like a 20th of the fee.
I am 100% positive we would not do a worse job than Steve Mills.
Oh, well, guaranteed not. Yeah.
And we could coach the team. We couldn't be worse than Fizz.
I mean, I could tell you stuff like the Bargnani trade would never have happened.
I mean, what would you be like? Hey, we're going to be improving over Fizz. How is that possible, you guys? You guys have barely any NBA knowledge. We listened to your show. Okay, a lot of guys like to shoot threes. Stay on them. What do you mean? I'm just going to leave my guy. No. When he's still allowed to shoot out there, just stand near him. He won't get the ball. How'd you know that? Do you know the? By the way, I was just looking over stats that amaze me. The Knicks are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the NBA, and one of the worst defensive rebounding teams. How do you do that?
That's weird.
The Knicks are also one of the best three-point shooting, at least by percentage-wise, teams. Shoot one of the lowest amount of shot attempts in the league.
That's cool.
They just don't do anything that makes any sense. I'd be like, hey, Marcus Morris is shooting 50%. Let's set some plays so he shoots more threes.
Right.
Like there was one game, I think it was earlier this week, where Taj Gibson shot 2 threes. I go, hey, if you're going to set anyone up for threes, it shouldn't be Taj Gibson or Dennis Smith. Be the guys who know how to shoot from 3.
Nope. See, this is why we would earn our money. We would figure those things out.
I'd be like, hey, I've heard this play called a pick and roll. Just run that every time on offense. See how it goes.
All right. Matt writes, please know Mark Jackson. And he linked to an article about Mark Jackson versus John Stockton, which is a fun read. So look up Mythbusters Mark Jackson versus John Stockton. He's a horrible, horrible person, a complete weirdo, and an utter fool to boot. Don't you just know they're going to hire him? I'm really worried because the chatter seems like the Knicks, he's definitely on the Knicks radar, and it seems like a typical Knicks hire, like a name who doesn't really have a great track record.
I would say if Mills gets to keep his job, which it could be, then Mark Jackson seems like a shoo-in, the kind of guy.
Yeah.
If they hire a smart GM, then we might get a smart hire for the coach.
Agreed.
So do we need a guy who has a lot of experience, or are you okay with them getting like let's try this out again with a rookie coach, basically?
I don't know about a rookie coach, but a guy who, might have had success elsewhere is fine. I mean, look at Brad Stevens, or, there's guys who haven't coached in the NBA who can make a difference. It's just guys who have no coaching experience is not a good idea, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love the idea of guys that have no experience or very, very limited experience. Like they've had one coaching job before.
I mean, the Raptors seem to be doing great.
Their team's pretty good.
Yeah, so, I mean, Nurse and Stevens are the two most recent examples, so I don't see a problem with thinking outside the box a little bit.
I mean, people always say also, like, they're like, well, no one's going to want to coach the Knicks now. I mean, the Knicks are a goddamn embarrassment. But there are only 30 of these jobs.
Right, and they pay like $5 million a year. So
yeah, and you like any of these jobs you get, and you're like, Okay, so you're saying I have to work for 1 year, then I'll be paid not to do the same exact job for 3 years? Yep,
Right.
that's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I would love a job like that.
I said on Twitter, the Knicks should hire coaches for 100 games at a time. That way you have them for exactly how long you want to keep them.
Well, I was saying that they should just start interviewing for their 2021 and 2023 coaching vacancies as well.
I liked your comment. That was pretty funny.
Follow us on Twitter, NY Knicks Podcast.
Yeah. Next question.
Matt also writes, my home team in Perth is one of the most successful basketball teams in the world, but I hate Australian basketball. The only context in which I ever say F my life is when talking about the Knicks. Yeah, pretty much. It's dire.
Okay, so when do you think this team will actually be good? Do you have any sense of when they might be a good team?
No. I really don't. I wish I had a better answer. It's bleak.
It really is bleak.
Matt writes, is it wrong for me to hate players for having stupid-looking hairstyles? Just looking at Reggie Bullock's ridiculous hair makes me feel angry. I hope he stays injured just so I don't have to look at him.
Yeah. What was it? Did Alfred Payton have a really dumb hairstyle for a while?
He did. He actually got blocked by his hair once.
And what's his Dennis Schroeder had the dumbest looking hair possible.
He cut off that bleach blonde thing and then he put it back recently. And I almost didn't draft him in fantasy because I hate his hair so much.
Yeah, that didn't. Yeah.
So the answer is yes. Also, remember Drew Gooden where he just had the patch on the back of his head?
Yeah, that was a weird thing also.
That was like the all-time worst thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So yes, I would say the answer is yes. Let's see. We got a lot of emails today. Jorge writes, hey guys, it's been pretty depressing to start the season, but we do have a similar record to Golden State Warriors, and Marcus Morris has been shooting better than Steph Curry this season, so take that for data. P.S. Don't add context to those facts.
That's fine. By the way, I saw something. Wait, I have a question. Do you also blame Fizz partly for Randall sucking?
Yeah. Yeah, because when he's not the number one guy, he was good last season.
Like I feel like when you watch him play, he dribbles the ball too much, tries to go ISO too much, but he can be a good player at times. And Fizz didn't know how to he was like, you should be the point guard. Okay, we're gonna run the ball through you like you're James Harden, which made no sense. He should have been able to get more out of Randall.
Shouldn't he have just looked up some tape of last season?
I mean, the Knicks are just like just more. They should have looked up the tape of last season and go, we don't need to bring Randall in and make him our number one option either.
Yeah,
but the Knicks, the whole Fizz thing, they brought in $70 million worth of free agents, brought in a third-round pick, and the team is actually worse.
Number 3 pick, not third.
Number 3 pick, yeah. But it's hard to actually be worse than a team that won 17 games last year.
Yeah, they're on pace for 15
now. But anyway, Randall was averaging, I guess, 9.8 isolations per 100 possessions, which is ninth most in the league, behind guys like LeBron, Giannis, Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard.
Right, and his points per isolation was way less than any of those guys.
Yeah, that was horrible. Yeah, and he's coughed the ball up on the isolations on 15% of those plays, which is insane.
Well, here's a fun email. The title of this email is Randall Still Ass. Nasir writes, guys, let's call it what it is. Yeah, we got rid of Bunny Rabbit Fizz, but Perry Mills is still there. Bobby Portis looks worse than Chris Copeland. Barrett can't shoot. Knox has one good game and disappears. But let's not leave our big free agent acquisition out. Julius Randle sucks. He can't shoot free throws. He's a cancer on the floor with his play, and I would like to see us trade him at the deadline. Him and Portis are the worst signings this year. Sorry, Fizz. Don't feel sorry for you, but sorry that inherited this trash-ass MF team of people who can't win, won't win, and suck. Effing suck.
I mean, those are all very valid and good points. I just think Fizz could have done more. Could have done more with this roster. They could have been a 6-win team or a 7-win team. I don't know. They're not. This roster's not as bad as they were playing.
Yeah.
And guys are just everyone seems to have gotten worse under Fizz. And even like Ntilikina's development, yes, he's looking better on defense. He's definitely gotten a little better. He's still not playing point guard.
Right.
So where are you on this as a coach? I know a lot of people said not much is going to change, and I think it's going to change. The Knicks are still going to lose a lot of games, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, but is it if the Knicks are still going to lose a ton of games, is it worth changing the coach?
You mean Fizz or getting a new one on top of Mike Miller?
No, I mean like the Fizz to Miller. Like if you're like the Knicks aren't going to win any more games under Miller than they won under Fizz.
I think this is more about they're not even competitive, and the team looks like it's given up, and they're a complete laughing stock.
Yeah, I mean that's Next question.
I mean they don't want to be laughed at out of the stadium every week either.
They've had so many blowout losses. It's been ridiculous.
Yeah, I think if they had the same record, but they had a bunch of like 5-point losses, Fizz would still be there. When you start losing by 40 a game, that's too much.
I mean, you just look outclassed by other teams.
Yeah, and I realize those were two good teams, but they're not beating anybody else by 40. It's just
no. I mean, they went to the Nets. Just beat them. The Nets don't have an amazing roster.
Right. The Warriors didn't lose by as much, and they have 8 injured guys.
You know what's crazy though? Also, look at the roster under like Derek Fisher or Hornacek. This roster is equal, or if not better than those rosters.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too.
Like what did Derek Fisher have to work with?
Yeah,
there wasn't much in that team, and he's still. I guess 1 year he got 17 wins, but the team still literally traded off everyone that was good in that team, and really like left them with nothing, and they got 17 wins. And then the following year, they were playing much better than this Knicks team with much less talent.
Yeah. All right, that's it for emails. You got Facebook?
We got a couple Facebook questions, and we will call the show. Let's see. The first right one is Francisco writes, "We need Becky. She is our Eddie." So, what do you think about Becky Hammond?
Sure. I mean, she's had a really good basketball career. She's been learning under Pop. Anybody who's been anywhere near Pop is an okay for me.
I was on the record last time saying it was a bad idea, not because I didn't think she'd be a good coach, just because the Knicks are always a disaster as it is in a circus, and having the first female coach would put too much pressure on her and the Knicks, and it would just somehow be a disaster. Now I'm at the point where like, let's just try it. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be any worse than what's going on. At least I bet she's actually a really good coach. So let's just hire her.
Mm-hmm.
Michael writes, "I can see Miller making some improvements. He seems to have a way with young players."
I mean, I think the team is definitely going to look better. Is he the guy we want coaching? I don't know. I would rather see no coaching change until Mills is gone. And I want Mills gone this season. Yeah.
Well, obviously it's the end of the season, and then the next guy can choose. If the next guy likes Miller, he can keep him. But you want Mills.
Yeah.
Gone. They said, I was reading somewhere they were saying Miller was really good. First of all, his defenses were always pretty well ranked in the G League, and they were saying how he was really good at in-game adjustments.
Okay, well those are two things that the Knicks really need help with.
Yeah. So Dow writes, winning.
Yeah.
I guess the question was things the Knicks don't do a lot of. Jeffrey writes, develop. Oh, I'm reading from the wrong question. Sorry. Cool. I was reading from the. Sorry, I wrote up. I asked what people wanted to see from the Knicks.
Good job.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I totally screwed that up, Jay. Give me a second on this. Okay, we got it. But I think Hammonds would be a good. Why not? Like anyone from a good team and a good system would be great. Jeffrey writes, as expected, people like Pop and Kerr had to chime in on Fizd's firing. Does anyone think we give a shit about what Kerr thinks? He's not some coaching genius who would have had our team in the playoffs. Hell, without 3 future Hall of Famers on his team, he's got his team playing at the same level as ours.
I think that's very unfair.
Why?
Because they have 8 injured guys.
Yeah, so it's
it's not like they lost the 3 Hall of Famers. Their backups and their backups got injured.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. There was a little bit back and forth with some people arguing about this.
Yeah, I got on that one because I mean, Kevon Looney was their projected starter. He got injured. So Willie Cauley-Stein was starting. He got injured. So now you have Marquise Chris. And it was the same thing with the point guard situation.
So report Trae Young involved in an emotional locker room scene after the Hawks loss. Is Trae Young need to be traded? And should the Knicks go for it?
Sure. Yeah. They'll totally trade him because he got SADS.
And Julian writes, I would give DSJ, Randall, Portis, plus our lottery pick for him.
I would too, but I don't think the Hawks would accept that.
You'd give our lottery pick?
Yeah. Well, not this one, but maybe like a...
Not the one that's going to be pretty high this year.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, all the other players, obviously, like, yeah, I would not give up.
I'd give a Dallas pick. I give both Dallas picks.
Yeah, I would do that. I mean, Trae Young looks like would you give Mitchell Robinson the 2 Dallas picks and Ntilikina?
Oof. Yeah. I wouldn't feel great about it, but I would.
Yeah, I would do that. We just pair Trae Young, Barrett, and the number 1 pick and the top 5 pick we're getting this year. I would do that.
Yeah.
Do you think Atlanta would trade him for Doncic?
Yes, I do.
Okay, just wondering. Declan writes, replace DSJ with Trier and the Knicks win against the Pacers. True or false? Also, who in your opinion, well, answer this part first. Do you think you replace DSJ with Trier would the Knicks have won the game?
Yes, or Kadeem Allen.
Or just give DSJ Peyton's minutes. I mean, Peyton his minutes, and they would have won that game.
Yeah.
Also,
basically any lineup that didn't have Smith because he was what, -10?
Yeah, he didn't look very good out there. I mean, the thing is, he has a lot of potential.
He was -10, was 0 for 5, had 2 turnovers in just 12 minutes.
Is he a guy, though, you could see going somewhere else and actually getting good? Like some other team actually knows how to develop him?
No, because Dallas had a good roster and he sucked there too.
They did have Carlisle also.
Yeah.
Declan also writes, also, who in your opinion is the most unwatchable guy in the team? For me, it's Randall and Portis because Randall is just more expensive than Enes Kanter, and Portis is getting paid millions to be worse than Luke Cornett.
Yeah, I mean, it's either them or Smith.
I'd go Portis. I mean, Dennis, I go Portis because I don't see the potential. I don't see anything there. I don't know why he's on the court.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at least every once in a while, Randall goes on a scoring spree.
Yeah, Randall can be a very good offensive player if used correctly.
Yeah,
I think his dribbling drives me crazy, but he can be a good player.
Something's going on because he averaged 10 rebounds last season. He started the season doing that, and then he just stopped rebounding recently. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, business development. He's like, stop doing the only thing you do on the court that helps.
Right.
I have to say it'll be a battle between Portis and Dennis Smith, right? For most unwatchable?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the finals.
Who wins that final for you?
I think Dennis Smith does.
I think Portis does. I think Dennis Smith still has some value.
On the court?
I mean, yes. I think like he still has potential to be like a good player.
Okay. I mean,
Portis,
but I'm
I
not
just don't
talking
see
about
it at all. I don't
potential.
know
I'm
why you
talking
signed
about like just watching him. I don't want to watch him.
No, I mean, he's not been pretty. I just don't think. I think at times he looks okay. It's rare. I don't know. He does have a good handle, Dennis Smith. He's not a terrible passer. He can get to the basket.
Uh-huh.
His defense isn't horrible.
Uh-huh.
I mean, these are all like legitimate. Like he's still the same player we got excited about last year. He's not that much removed.
It's pretty terrible.
Portis is really. I don't see anything there.
So you would have Portis 1 and I would have Smith 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill writes, more of a comment than a question. Ideal scenario would be Mills getting fired and the replacement being someone who experienced in running a successful NBA franchise, hiring new head coach, ideally not a coach that was fired elsewhere, like Jeff Jeff H. or Fizdale and has a system.
Yes, agree with all that.
What about this? I'm going to throw out a name for you. He's never been a team GM or team president, but how about we bring in Jeff Van Gundy?
As president?
Yeah, why not? Smart NBA mind, clearly. Was a great coach. Has been following the game very closely since he's been a coach, since he was in coaching.
Why don't we just bring it back as coach?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, I'm just thinking because he's older, he may not be as into doing the coaching right now. Like being like what it takes to be a coach. Maybe he'd be more like team president and pick the right people.
I think if there's a chance to get Masai, you wait and see if that happens.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm totally down, all in on Masai. Just like I was all in on Phil Jackson, and that worked out. But Masai actually is the right guy for the
For the
job.
record, we actually did question why they hired.
You questioned Phil Jackson,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I didn't question Phil Jackson. I thought it was a great idea.
Okay. Well,
I'm just going to admit I'm stupid. I'm going to admit I went all in, sucker. I was a complete sucker for that. You were not, but let's let the record show Jay was smart, and I had the qualities it takes to be a Knicks GM. Darryl writes, what now? No, really.
Well, I guess we see how Miller does, and fingers crossed that Masai finds a way out of Toronto.
So who do you think will look better under Miller? Like the rest of the way, like what players will look better now that what players will be better off for the fact that Fizz is fired?
Hopefully everybody. I mean, if he plays players to their strengths, the whole roster is going to look better. I mean, it's not even a joke when we say that everybody looks worse than last season, down to the man.
One guy that's getting more run lately, who I think will benefit, is Dotson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing or I'm hoping they'll go a little more small and give more opportunities for Dotson to play. Dotson's looked pretty decent lately.
I think we're going to see more Dotson Payton backcourts.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
And maybe we'll see RJ at the 3.
I would like to see RJ at the 3. It seems like that might be his actual position.
Yeah.
God forbid he got someone who actually plays their position here. I also expect to see more Mitchell Robinson.
I mean,
obviously he's been playing, but I feel like his minutes there'll be an uptick in his minutes.
It depends if he can stay on the court. I mean, I don't think he wasn't playing because Fizz didn't want to play him. This guy got 3 fouls every 5 minutes he was out there. It was ridiculous.
I mean, he doesn't foul out of every game, and that like Fizz will sit him at some point, even though he has fouls to go.
Yeah, but not often. I mean, he's fouled out 4 times this season.
Yeah, it's not a small number, but yeah. I will hopefully the coach will be like, we'll teach him how not to foul, so he just stops doing it.
Yeah.
Anton writes, good thing is we are tied for first in the tank standing.
Oh, we are now first. Now
we're just first, yeah. And now you don't have to watch any more games. Crazy this happened in December, not January, so more important issues. Fantasy football, Knicks podcast, league next year.
That would be all you, Mark.
Yeah, sure, why not? I am actually if I win tonight in fantasy football, I am in the playoffs. And I need a huge performance from let's just see how the Giants game is going.
I don't know enough about football to join that, but yeah, if Mark wants to set one up, that would be fun.
Great, Philly's getting their butt kicked. I'm never going to. I need Alshon Jeffrey to get 14 points for me tonight. It's halftime. He's not got a pass thrown at him.
Cool.
God damn it. God. I mean, the Giants are 2-10. Why would they be beating Philly 17-3? I assume the Giants were terrible. Forget. I'm so bad at this. Anyway, Paul writes, how are you guys watching this team now? I find the lack of hope in development freeing. I'll catch parts of games when I get a chance. Don't feel the need to make an effort to see or record a game, and definitely don't watch from start to finish.
I mean, I just like basketball, so I turn it on every game. Well, and we do the podcast. but now have a thing where if they go down by 15, or I should say when they go down by 15, I turn it
Yeah,
off.
like if they go down by 13, 15.
So, I mean, this week, it was off in the first quarter, both games.
I mean, so
And I watched most of the Pacers game.
the good thing this week, the very good thing is the Knicks are playing some later. They're playing some later games. They're on the West Coast.
Yeah, I won't be staying up for any of those.
Yeah, so the Knicks are so bad, I can't even force myself to stay up for those games.
I'm not
I'll
staying
watch
up till
them the
1 in
next day.
Yeah, I'm not staying up till like 1 in the morning to watch them lose to a shorthanded Warriors team.
I mean, this week they got Portland, Golden State, Sacramento, and Denver on Sunday. Those 4 games, what's going to happen? Is there a win there, Jay?
I mean, Golden State, Sacramento are both winnable,
Yeah.
but Golden State's getting most of their pieces back, and the Knicks are the Knicks. You got to think they'll win one of those, right?
Portland's injured also.
And they got Carmelo.
By the way, Portland tickets, according to this, tickets are as low as $8 to go see Portland. They're such a better team than the Knicks, and it's only $8.
Yep.
Denver tickets are as low as $9. Then you look at the Knicks playing the Nets. Tickets are as low as $116.
It's disgusting.
Holy crap! We're almost done here. Bry, friend of the show, writes, and co-host of the Brink of Sanity, writes, they can't go 0-82, 1-81, 2-80, or 3-92. Thank you, Bry.
Yeah,
there's the silver lining.
Check out the Brink of Sanity, our comedy podcast. It is me and Mark plus Bry.
Bobby writes, just shows a picture of Fizdale and writes the word scapegoat. Is he a scapegoat?
No, he was still pretty bad.
Patrick writes, if you had a time machine and had a choice to go back and switch favorite teams, then who would you pick? I would probably pick Dallas. Very satisfying championship in 2010. Now they have Doncic and a great owner. I would say Spurs, but things aren't looking good for Pop right now. I would also say Lakers, but I'm not a douchebag. And then Patrick points out that he'd never do this if he had a time machine. He just wants to play the hypothetical game. So who would you go back, Jay, and become a fan of?
I think you go Spurs. I mean, yeah, they're not great this year, but they made the playoffs for 20 straight years. They won 5 championships. They were in 7 finals. You could feel good about their team because they drafted their top 3 guys. It wasn't like a Miami situation where they just rented players.
Also a bad year for the Spurs is 40 wins.
Right.
So it's going to be a freaking fun team to watch.
I mean, you got to see them draft and develop 3 Hall of Famers.
You also never, if you root for the Spurs, you never wonder, do we have a good coach?
Right. You have the best coach in the league. Yeah, I think no question Spurs.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I don't know who will be second place here, but a lot of teams were. So Lakers, yes. I don't want to be a douchebag. Who else? Like the Rockets, you would have to follow James Harden, which would be awful.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to watch that many free throws. I mean, Dallas isn't a bad pick. You got screwed out of 1 finals, but you do have a finals under your belt. You got 20 years of Dirk, which is fun.
And then 19 and 20 more years of Doncic, so that sounds pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, OKC would be one of the more painful ones because you'd be like, oh, wait, you're telling me we have Harden, Durant, and Westbrook? How could this go wrong?
And then Phoenix and Sacramento, you arguably got robbed out of finals for both of those teams, and you never got to see a championship. So you had fun, really, really, really fun teams, but you didn't get to see a championship. So if I had to, go back in time, I would have to pick a team that won a championship.
Cleveland won a title. Would you do that? Would you like the fact that your team had to grovel to LeBron James?
And put up with Kyrie and no.
Okay, so who else won a title? Not a lot of titles go around.
No, it's like Miami, Cleveland, Lakers, Spurs, Dallas.
Warriors. There's the one that's a decent question.
Warriors would be a lot of fun. You got some really bad teams, but you have
historically great teams.
Yep, you have some of the best, maybe arguably the best finals team ever. So I guess Warriors in the running. I mean, even the years they weren't winning, you still got the Sprewell, the TMC teams.
Yeah. I mean, they've had a lot of good players over the years.
So I guess Warriors are in the running, and
If you're open to not, I mean, the Rockets. Oh, sorry, I hate the Rockets. I was gonna say because I like the Elijah Rockets, but that's a long time ago.
Pistons made 6 straight conference finals and won a championship.
Yeah, Pistons won a title, but you don't have to live in the city, right? I don't have to go live in Detroit.
No. You're just a fan.
Yeah, Detroit's not bad, I guess.
And Celtics.
If you're gonna, I couldn't be a Celtic. I mean, that's the same Laker factor.
Celtics only won since we started watching. They only won 1, right?
Don't you feel like an a-hole rooting for the Celtics? Like,
Yeah.
could you really be a basketball fan and just say like Larry Bird's my favorite player? I'm a douchebag. I like Larry Bird, right, Jay? For those who don't know, Jay has Larry Bird's face tattooed on his chest.
I have it tattooed on my face.
It would be an easy transition for you, Jay. You'd root for the team you actually like.
So that would be it, right? That's the end of the list.
I mean, unless you're opening it up to the Bulls. I mean, I guess how long are you going for the title things? You could root for the Bulls and root for Jordan.
See, the thing is, if I'm going back,
We're old enough.
No, that's fine. But I feel like if you're going to be a fan of a team, you want longevity too. You don't want. You got the whole '90s, but the last 20 years have not been great.
I mean, you had the Derrick Rose Bulls for a little while, the Thibodeau Bulls.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing you say for the Warriors. The Warriors
That
hadn't
is
been
true.
really. I mean, they had some decent teams, but they really weren't good till.
That
very
is true.
recent.
That is true. I mean, Bulls are legit. You had a whole decade of fun.
That's why the Spurs you're in the playoffs every year. You're competing every year. You win some titles. Like, you have some historically great players. All your players are like humble, nice guys that you'd want. Like,
That's the thing. Even before the last 20 years, you still had David Robinson. So, like, they were good before that, too.
Robinson to Duncan to, like, I mean, the Kawhi year would have been a little bit painful, but you still win games.
Yeah.
If you want entertaining basketball, I mean, not the most entertaining basketball because they're the Spurs, but like, you're always in it, basically. It must be a dream to be a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
Okay, what did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that the Knicks have a new coach, and so far, things look exactly the same.
Things are going to be so different. I think now, before we were going to win 15 games, now we will win 18 games.
Cool.
Yeah. If you had to pick one player that you'd like to see one player who, forget it. I can't even ask questions about this. I hate this team, Jay. Let's.
All right. Our website's thenewyorknickspodcast.com, NY Knicks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. We're on Spotify. You could leave us a review on iTunes, all that stuff. So
Yes.
We'll be back next week, and we'll see if the Knicks can actually get a win.
The ultimate challenge.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone.